Hello, good morning. How are you, grade 10 learners? Are you all okay? This is Marites B. Manibog, your Science 10 teacher, and I would like to welcome you to this video lesson. This video focuses on Science 10, Quarter 4, Week 5, with this learning competency. Apply the principles of conservation of mass to chemical reactions. With this learning competency, we have 6 objectives. And I would like to request everyone to please try to read with me the 6 objectives for this video lesson. Number 1. Observe some chemical reactions. Number 2. Determine the evidences of chemical reactions. Number 3. Distinguish between reactants and products in a chemical reaction. Number 4. Write a chemical equation. Number 5. Discuss the different types of chemical reactions. And number 6. Classify reactions according to their types, based on how atoms are grouped or regrouped. Here in our next slide, we have here images or pictures, demonstrations pertaining to changes in everyday lives. What are you going to do is you're going to classify these changes, either it is a physical or a chemical change. First picture is all about tearing of paper. How are you going to classify this one? Physical or chemical? Very good. It is a physical change. How about in this demonstration? It's a burning of stick. Excellent. It's a chemical change. Another one. Yep, we have there a girl adding a vinegar to a baking soda. Physical or chemical change? You're right. It's a chemical change. Another one is a boiling of water. Physical or chemical change? Correct. It's a physical change. Another one. It's all about rusting of iron nails. How are you going to classify this one? Is it a physical or a chemical change? Correct. It's a chemical change. When a physical change occurs, there is no breaking and forming of bands, such as the tearing of paper and boiling of water. While chemical change, everybody must read it, is a change of materials into another. New materials with different properties and one or more than one new substances are formed. So, what do you think is a chemical reaction? Anybody? What is a chemical reaction? Excellent. It is a chemical change in which one or more substances are destroyed and one or more new substances are created. It is also a process in which new substances with new properties are formed. Here in our next slide, we are going to discuss the evidences of chemical change or reaction. What do you think is the first evidence of chemical reaction? Correct! Is the evolution of light or heat. An example of that one is the one in the picture. There's a light or heat being released by that object, so a chemical change is happening on that material. How about the second evidence? Correct. Temperature change. So, if there is an increase or decrease on the temperature of the material, so it shows that a chemical reaction taking place on that particular object. Another evidence. Okay, very good. Formation of a gas, bubbling or an odor other than boiling. So, if you notice in this picture, there is that release of a gas on that particular material. So, with that, we could say that there is a chemical reaction happening on that particular object. What do you think are the other evidences of chemical reaction aside from the one that we presented? Okay, you're correct. Color change due to the formation of a new substance. Like for example, what we have on the picture is a picture on rusting of an iron. So from blue color, it changes to somewhat like brownish or darkest in color. What do you think is the other evidence of chemical reaction? Yeah, very good. Formation of a precipitate or a new solid forms from the reaction of two aqueous solutions. Like for example, what we could see on the picture. We have there a new solid forms, yellow in color. So it's a precipitate brought about by the reaction of aqueous solutions. So here we learn the 5 evidences of chemical reactions or changes. This time we are going to take a look on some chemical reactions and we'll try to observe if those evidences are really observed in these different chemical reactions that I will be going to show to you. Are you now ready? Okay, we have the first chemical reaction. What can you say about the reaction? Excellent. It's a combination of iron and copper sulfate, wherein after the reaction there is a formation of a new substance. We have the ferrous sulfate and a copper. So chemical reaction number 1 is all about iron reacts with copper sulfate or CuSO4 and forms iron 2 sulfate or FeSO4 and copper. So, have you noticed there the evidences of chemical reactions that we discussed? Excellent! Yes, there's a formation of a new substance from that reaction number 1. Let's proceed to the second chemical reaction that we have here. Okay, what do you think is this reaction? Excellent! It's a magnesium ribbon reaction. Magnesium combines with oxygen gas in the atmosphere to produce magnesium oxide. And there we observe that again a new substance is formed after the chemical reaction. And there is that evolution of gas and light in the process. Okay, are you now ready for this chemical reaction number 3? What do you think is this chemical reaction? Correct. It's all about the reaction of hydrogen peroxide in the presence of manganese dioxide or MnO2 produces water and oxygen gas. By the way, class, here manganese dioxide is not a reactant, but rather it is a catalyst or a substance that speeds up the separation of hydrogen peroxide. So you observe there evolution of gas, or there's a release of gas in this number 3 chemical reaction. Another one. Let's have the 4th chemical reaction. What can you see on this picture? Very good. It's a reaction between vinegar and baking soda. Acetic acid, or having a chemical formula of CH3COOH and sodium bicarbonate, or NaACO3, produce sodium acetate with the release of carbon dioxide gas and water. So, it's a chemical reaction. It is because there is that formation of a precipitate after mixing vinegar and baking soda. Okay, that's the number 4 chemical reaction. Let's have the last one, the number 5. Try to take a look on the demonstration. Try to observe what's happening on the two liquid solutions. What do you think are the two solutions being combined? Excellent! It's a copper sulfate, or CuSO4, reacts with sodium hydroxide, or NaOH, to produce insoluble copper 2 hydroxide, or CuOH, and sodium sulfate, or Na2SO4 solution. So again, we observe that there is a new substance formed after the mixing of copper sulfate and sodium hydroxide. So, it's really a chemical reaction. Okay, chemical reaction is observed in this particular demonstration. This time, we are going to proceed in activity 2, entitled What's in a Reaction. But before that one, we are going to differentiate two terms, reactants and products. Everybody must read what is a reactants. Reactants are the starting material in a chemical reaction. Products are the substance formed as a result of a chemical reaction. In a chemical equation, reactants are found on the left side and the products are on the right side. A chemical reaction can therefore be summarized as reactants on the left side, separated by an arrow, and products on the right side. So, remember that in writing a chemical reaction or in writing a chemical equation, you should be aware when or how are you going to write the reactants and the products. So, here, reactants or the materials that involved in a chemical reaction should be written on the left side, while the products or the substance or substances being produced after the chemical reaction should be written on the right side, and it will be separated by an arrow. We also have here different symbols used in writing chemical equations. First, we have the plus sign or the plus symbol. It is used to separate two reactants or two products. So if there are two reactants in a chemical equation, it will be separated by a plus symbol. Or if there are two or more products in the chemical reaction, it should be separated by a plus symbol. Another one, we have the arrow symbol. It means yields, separates reactants from products. Okay, so an arrow symbol separates reactants from a products in a chemical equation. We also have the symbol double arrows, used in place of a single arrow for reversible reactions. Reversible or reactions that could be done in reverse, or it could be done in opposite way. Other symbols, we have S, L, and G. Designates a reactant or product in the solid state, liquid state, or gaseous state, placed after the formula. We also have the AQ. designates an aqueous solution. The substance is dissolved in water or placed after the formula. Another symbol is we have an arrow, and on top of it we have a triangle or a delta symbol. Indicates that heat is supplied to the reaction. Or you could also have the symbol arrow, and on top of it we have the word heat. It also indicates that heat is being added or supplied to that particular chemical reaction. And another symbol is a single arrow, and on top of it we have the symbol of a chemical formula, which indicates as a catalyst. So in this example, the formula is PT, which is a platinum. So the catalyst that is being used here is a platinum. Then remember, catalyst is a substance that speeds up chemical reaction. Another thing that we will learn first before going further to activity number 2 are these two terminologies. You notice in our chemical equation that there are numbers written before the chemical symbol or formulas, and there are also numbers written below the chemical symbol of the different elements involved in a chemical equation. So what do you think are these numbers? Okay, very good. It's a coefficient and subscript. What's the difference between the two? Excellent. Coefficient is a number placed in front of a chemical symbol or formula. It shows how many atoms or molecules of the substance are involved in the reaction. Like for example, what we have in the chemical formula, 3 before hydrogen gas in the reactant side is a coefficient, while in the product side, the number 2 there before the chemical formula of ammonia is also a coefficient. How about subscript? What is a subscript? Yeah, the numbers appearing as subscripts in the chemical formula indicate the numbers of atoms of the element immediately before the subscript. If no subscript appears, one atom of that element is present. Okay, so the number written below the chemical symbol in a chemical equation is what we call a subscript. And if there is no number found on that particular symbol, it means to say that it has one atom of that particular element. Okay? Coefficient from subscript. This time, let's now move on to activity number 2. Part A, you're going to fill in the table with the reactants and products from the chemical reactions given. So, let's go back. Let's recall the 5 chemical reactions that we observed. And this time, you're going to identify the reactants and the products involved in the different chemical reactions that we observe. So, in reaction number 1, can you remember the reaction number 1? Yup, it's all about the ironale, or the iron reacts with copper sulfate and forms iron 2 sulfate and copper. So, with that chemical reaction, what do you think are the reactants? And how about the products? Okay, you'll be given 2 seconds to answer it. Prepare your paper please and your ball pen and try to answer. Reactants and products in reaction number 1. 2 seconds is over. Let's try to set your answers. Okay, very good. You have there iron and copper sulfate as the reactants. And the products are iron, 2 sulfate, and copper. So, in reaction number 1, there are 2 reactants and 2 products. Okay, very good. Let's proceed to reaction number 2. Magnesium combines with oxygen gas to produce magnesium oxide. Again, with your paper and with your pen, answer this one in 2 seconds. Time is up. Let's check your answer. Excellent. We have magnesium, oxygen gas as the reactants, and we have only one product, and that is magnesium oxide or MgO. Next, let's have the reaction number 3. Again, we're going to identify the reactants and products in this reaction number 3. 2 seconds starts now. Time is up. Let's check your answer. Excellent. We only have one reactant for reaction number 3. Only hydrogen peroxide or H2O2. Remember that manganese dioxide is not a reactant in reaction number 3, but rather it serves as a catalyst. How about the products? How many products produced? Yeah, there are 2. We have the water and oxygen gas. Everybody? Okay, very good. Everybody got the correct answer. Let's move on to number 4, reaction number 4. Same instruction. You are going to write down the reactants and products for this reaction number 4. 2 seconds starts now. Okay, time is up. What are your answers? Okay, very good. You have there 2 reactants, namely acetic acid and sodium bicarbonate. How about the products? Okay, you got it. There are 3 products in the number 4 chemical reaction, namely sodium acetate, carbon dioxide, and water. Very good. And most of you got the correct answer. Let's have the last chemical reaction. Reaction number 5. Can you still remember the reaction number 5? Okay. It's a combination of copper sulfate and sodium hydroxide. So, 2 seconds for you to identify the reactants and the products in that reaction number 5. Start now. Okay, let's check your answers. Okay, we have 2 reactants. We have the CuSO4 or the copper sulfate and AOH or the sodium hydroxide. And the products, we have also 2 products. We have copper 2 hydroxide and sodium sulfate. Okay, how many got the correct answer? Oh, very good. All of you got the correct answer. Now, let's proceed to part B of activity number 2. This time, you are going to write a chemical equation. So, based from the idea on how to write chemical equation, you're going to practice or you're going to translate now the different symbols, formulas of the reactants and products that you have identified in part A here in part B. Using the symbols and formulas, write the chemical reaction using symbols to complete the chemical equation. So, let's have the first one. Reaction number 1. If these are the reactants and if these are the identified products, what do you think is the correct chemical equation? 2 seconds will be given to you. Again, use your paper and pen to answer this part B of activity number 2. 2 seconds starts now. Time is up. Let's check your answer. Excellent. You have there Fe or iron plus copper sulfate yields FeSO4 or iron 2 sulfate plus Cu or copper. So, applying the idea on writing chemical equation, we have written the reactants on the left side and the products on the right side, and we separated it by using an arrow. How many got the correct answer? Okay, very good. Most of you got it. Let's move on to the second number. The reaction number 2, wherein the reactants are magnesium, oxygen gas, and the product is MgO or magnesium oxide. 2 seconds to write the chemical equation for this one. 2 seconds is over. Let's check your answer. This is the correct answer. Okay. Everybody got the correct answer. Very good. Excellent. Grade 10 learners. We have magnesium plus oxygen gas as the reactants. And we have only one product, which is the magnesium oxide. And again, we use an arrow to separate the reactants from the product. This time, let's move on to number 3. Okay, number 3. 2 seconds for number 3. Time is up. Let's see if your answer is correct. And this is the correct answer. Okay, there is only one reactant, which is the H2O2 or the hydrogen peroxide, and we have 2 products, namely the water and oxygen gas. And we also follow the correct way of writing chemical equation. We use an arrow to separate the reactant from the products. Let's go to the second to the last chemical reaction. Write the chemical equation for reaction number 4. 2 seconds starts now. Time is up. Let's check your answer. Okay. There are 2 reactants written on the left side, namely the vinegar and the sodium bicarbonate or CH3COOH and NaACO3 for baking soda or sodium bicarbonate. And we have 3 products, namely sodium acetate, carbon dioxide, and water. So, somewhat like a very long chemical equation. How many got the correct answer for this reaction number 4? Okay, very good. Still, many of you got the correct answer. Let's go to the last one. Write the chemical equation for the reaction number 5. 2 seconds starts now. Time is up. Okay, this is now the correct answer. We have 2 reactants and we have 2 products. Copper sulfate and sodium hydroxide are the reactants, and the products are the copper 2 hydroxide and we have the sodium sulfate. So, congratulations, and you're able to write chemical equation out of the chemical reactions that we observed just a while ago. This time, let's try to read the concept on what is really this chemical equation. Requesting everyone to please try to read with me this concept. Chemical equation is a chemist's shorthand for a chemical reaction. The reactants are written on the left and the products on the right. So we have done that one. An arrow separates them. We also follow that one. You read the arrow as yields, gives, or reacts to produce. Yes, we done also that particular idea. Reactants should be separated by an arrow, and products should be on the right side. Let's continue reading the concept. Equations that show just the formulas of the reactants and products are called skeleton equations. A skeleton equation is a chemical equation that does not indicate the relative amounts of the reactants and products. To add more information to the equation, you can indicate the physical states of a substances by putting a symbol after its formula. Use S for solid, L for a liquid, G for a gas, and AQ for a substance in an aqueous solution or substance dissolved in water. So, concrete example is shown here on the slide. We have here the symbol for iron, Fe. Then we use the symbol S, indicating that iron is a solid. Then we separate the reactants with a plus symbol. Then we have oxygen gas. We write there the symbol G, indicating that O2 is a gas, or oxygen there is a gas. We use a single arrow to separate the reactants from the product. And we have there the product Fa2O3. Then we use the symbol S, indicating that Fa2O3 is a solid. Writing chemical reactions are important for chemists. It is an important language that translates the reactions into easy, readable, and understandable sentence, which we call the chemical equation. Word reactions are translated into symbols for easy reading. By looking at the chemical equations, the reader can easily interpret what transpired in the reaction. So here, the chemical reactions are written in word reactions and translated into a chemical equations. Example of that one is the reaction of hydrogen and oxygen to give water, as is it presented here on the slide. So here we have two molecules of hydrogen gas reacted with one molecule of oxygen gas, yields two molecules of water. So for a chemist, looking at this chemical equation, they could easily understood the reaction that is being presented. So that's the important or essential of the writing of chemical equation. We have here the rules to follow in writing chemical equations. Let's try to read the first one. The starting material or substances called reactants are written on the left side, and the resulting substances called products are written on the right side. Okay, so we have done that one. Always remember that in writing chemical equation, the reactant should always be on the left side and product should always be on the right side, and it should be separated by an arrow. Number 2, an arrow is used to represent the conversion of the reactants to products. This may literally mean to yield or to form. The plus sign means to react with or to combine with. Yeah, we follow that one as we perform the activity number 2, part B of the activity. Okay, how about the number 3? It is recommended that the states of the substances be indicated by placing the following symbols after the formula of the substance. So, we also done that one. We make use of the different symbols. S for solid, L for liquid, G for gas, AQ for aqueous solution. So, this time, after discussing the rules in writing chemical equation, we are going to have an exercises or practice how to write chemical equation. So there are 3 chemical reactions here. We are going to write it in a chemical equation applying the rules that we discussed. So again, prepare your ball pen and your paper for these exercises. Are you ready? Okay, let's start. Number 1. May I request everyone to please try to read with me the given chemical reaction. 2 molecules of aqueous aluminum hydroxide decomposes to form 1 molecule of solid aluminum oxide and 3 molecules of liquid water. So, write it in a chemical equation. 2 seconds will be given to you to do it. Time is up. Let's check your answer. Okay, we have there 2 molecules of aqueous aluminum hydroxide. So 2Al open parenthesis hydroxide close parenthesis and a subscript 3 decomposes or broken down to form 1 molecule of solid aluminum oxide and 3 molecules of liquid water. So that's it. We only have 1 reactant and we have 2 products for the first given exercises. Okay, everybody got it? Excellent! And you got the correct answer for number 1. Let's proceed to number 2 exercises. Okay, number 2. Let's try to read first the number 2. 1 molecule of solid magnesium nitride reacts with 6 molecules of liquid water to form 3 moles of aqueous magnesium hydroxide and 2 moles of aqueous ammonia. 2 seconds for you to write the chemical equation for this one. Time starts now. Time is up. And let's check your answer. So we have here 2 reactants written on the left side. We have an arrow that separates the reactants from the products. And we also have 2 products. We have the magnesium hydroxide and 2 molecules of ammonia. Congratulations! And you got the correct answer for the second exercise. Okay, let's have the number 3. Number 3, good for 2 seconds. And try to start now. Time is up. Let's check your answer. Correct. We have there 2 molecules of potassium nitrate decomposes or broken down to produce 2 molecules of potassium nitrite and oxygen gas. How many got the correct answer? Okay, very good. All of you got the correct answer for number 3 exercises. So, this time, we will now be moving on to the different types of chemical reactions. What do you think are the different types of chemical reactions? Anybody can name some types of chemical reactions? Very good. Is a combination or synthesis reaction is one of the types of chemical reactions. Everybody must read what is combination or synthesis reaction, please. In a synthesis reaction, two or more chemical species combine to form a more complex product. And the general formula is A plus B yields AB. So in this type of chemical reaction, there should be two reactants and there should only be one product. So 2 becomes 1. Okay? Combination or synthesis reaction. 2 reactants and 1 product for the first type of chemical reaction. Another type of chemical reaction, can you name? Okay. By the way, let's have first a sample for the combination or synthesis reaction. There, we learned that there should be 2 reactants and 1 product. So here we have iron as one of the reactant and S stands for sulfur, another reactant. So 2 reactants and forming 1 product. So we have there iron 2 sulfide as the product. 2 becomes 1. Okay, so let's have the second one, decomposition or analysis reaction. Let's try to read. What is this? In a decomposition reaction, a compound is broken into smaller chemical species. Single reactant break down into singular ones or 2 or more products. This is the reverse of combination reaction. Yeah, this is really a reverse of the first type of chemical reaction. It is because here we only have 1 reactant and there are 2 products. So 1 becomes 2 this time. Exactly the opposite of the first type of chemical reaction. And who can give an example for this type of chemical reaction? Excellent! The electrolysis of water into oxygen and hydrogen gas is a concrete example of a decomposition reaction. So, looking at the chemical equation, we have there 2 molecules of water broken down into 2 molecules of hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. So, 1 reactant produces 2 products. Okay, that's the second type of chemical reaction. Let's proceed to the third one. It's all about the single displacement or substitution reaction. Everybody must read what is this one. A substitution or single displacement reaction is characterized by one element being displaced from a compound by another element. The more active element, it takes the place of less active element in a compound. Okay? So, single displacement reaction. The general formula for this one is A plus BC yields AC plus B. So, here, there should be 2 reactants and the products could either be 2 or more than 2 products. So, here, we have a sample for this type of chemical reaction. Zinc combines with hydrochloric acid, wherein zinc replaces hydrogen in hydrogen chloride or in hydrochloric acid, forming zinc chloride and hydrogen gas. So, one is being replaced by a more reactive element or substance in that particular reaction. Let's go to number 4, metathesis or double displacement reaction. Let's read what is this. In a double displacement or metathesis reaction, 2 compounds exchange bonds or ions in order to form different compounds. And the general formula for this one is AB plus CD yields AD plus CD. So here there should be two reactants and products could either be 2 or more than 2. And a concrete example of this one is the reaction between sodium chloride and silver nitrate, forming sodium nitrate and silver chloride. So there we notice that there is that complete displacement of two substances. Sodium displaces silver and silver displaces sodium. So that's why we have the sodium nitrate and silver chloride as the products. Okay, other types of chemical reactions that you know. Very good, the combustion. Combustion is another type of chemical reaction. What is this? Let's read. In a combustion reaction, oxygen combines with another compound to form carbon dioxide and water. So, an example of this one is in naphthalene substance. Are you familiar with naphthalene balls? The one that we are placing in our cabinet to drive away cockroaches? Okay, naphthalene having this chemical formula. Carbon 10, hydrogen 8, combined or added with oxygen gas in the atmosphere, forming carbon dioxide and water. So here we observe that oxygen gas is added or combined in a given substance. That's why it's a combustion reaction. How about the last one? We still have one. Who can name it? Excellent. Is the acid-base reaction. Everybody must read what is acid-base reaction. An acid-base reaction is a type of double displacement reaction that occurs between an acid and a base. The hydrogen ion in the acid reacts with the hydroxyl ion in the base to form water and an ionic salt. So, here is an example of this type of chemical reaction. We have there hydrogen bromide or hydrobromic acid, which is actually an acid, combined with sodium hydroxide, which is a base, forming a salt, which is sodium bromide and water. So, acid-base reaction. So, we discussed the how many types of chemical reactions? Yup, 6 chemical reactions. Who can name it? Decomposition, combination, single displacement, double displacement, combustion, and acid-base reaction. So, this time, we are going to identify the type of chemical reactions of these following examples of chemical equations. So, you are going to prepare again your ball pen and your paper. Paper and pen are needed again for this activity. Okay, 1 second is given for you to identify what type of chemical reaction is this number 1. 1 second starts now. Time is up. Let's check your answer. It is a double displacement reaction. Congratulations, and everybody got the correct answer. Let's move on to number 2. What do you think is this type of chemical reaction? 2 becomes 1. 1 second for this number. Time is up. The answer is combination reaction. Excellent. And you got again the correct answer for this number 2. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3. 1 second for this one. Time is up. The answer is single displacement reaction. Correct. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4, what do you think is the type of chemical reaction for this number 4? 1 second starts now. Time is over. Let's check your answer. It is a acid-base reaction. Congratulations! And you got again the correct answer. Let's go to the last one. Last number for these exercises. 1 second starts now. Time is up. The answer is combustion reaction. Okay, congratulations. And you can now identify types of chemical reactions. So here in our next slide, we have here some pictures, images showing to us different chemical reactions in everyday life. We have there combustion, or the process of burning. Adding oxygen to a certain substance, it will create a chemical reaction. The rusting of iron nail. A new substance is formed after the reaction. How about the third picture? It's all about digestion process. Digestion is an example of a chemical reaction. This is very important to everybody for us to have a good health, strong and healthy mind. Proper digestion must take place in our body, and this is a chemical reaction. Another one, photosynthesis. We discussed this one during your grade 9 science. Can you remember the process of photosynthesis wherein a plant needs carbon dioxide and water? And in the presence of the sunlight and the chlorophyll of the plant will be able to produce a glucose and oxygen gas. So, it's a chemical reaction taking place on that particular plant. Batteries also undergoing a chemical reaction. Fermentation or wine making, it is also done in the process of chemical reaction. Washing our hands, that once we wash our hands using washing liquid, there's a formation of bubbles, which is actually a gas. And for the last one, for those who are fond of baking, those who are enrolled in HE under Mambingko Bakungan, you are so familiar with this one. Chemical reaction is also observed in the activity known as baking. How about in this picture? What can you see in this particular picture? Excellent. So you have the nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide. We also have carbon dioxide released in the atmosphere by the automobiles, power plants, factories. And if there's a rain, these substances in the atmosphere are mixed, combined with the rain, forming an acid rain, and is being deposited in land, lake, forests, and streams. And since it's an acid rain, it's an acidic rain, so what do you think will be the effect of this one to these different areas? This is really a chemical reaction that is observed in our environment. To be specific, let's have here the chemical reaction on how is acid rain formed. When carbon dioxide reacts with water, carbonic acid is formed. So there. So if we have there the carbon dioxide released from the factories, automobiles, and power plants, once that will be reacted with water, once it will rain, so carbonic acid is formed, and that is an example of an acid rain. Another one is when sulfur dioxide reacts with water, so sulfuric acid is formed. This is also an acid rain. Another one, if nitrogen dioxide in the atmosphere will react with water when it will rain, a nitrous acid will also be formed. So, those are the different acids that could be formed, forming acid rain, and that's brought about by a chemical reaction. There. So, do you have questions, clarifications about our topic? If none, let's move on to our evaluation. Let's try to check if we learned something about the topic. Prepare your paper and your ball pen for this evaluation. Okay, are you ready? Let's start. By the way, let's all read first the given reaction before proceeding in answering this one. When aluminum and barium oxide are heated together, a vigorous reaction begins. An elemental barium and aluminum oxide are formed. So, what are you going to do with this one? First is that you're going to identify the reactants and products. So, in your paper, you're going to list down the reactants and the products for this given chemical reaction. 2 seconds will be given to you for this question number 1. And time starts now. Okay, time is up. Let's proceed to question number 2. Same given chemical reaction, but you are going to answer this one. How would you write the chemical equation of that given chemical reaction? Okay, so 2 seconds for this one. Time is up, and let's move on to number 3. Same statement, same chemical reaction, but you are going to identify the type of chemical reaction of that given chemical reaction. And time is up. Okay, let's check your answers. Question number 1. What are the reactants? Correct, aluminum and barium oxide. The products are barium and aluminum oxides. How about the chemical equation? Correct. We have aluminum plus barium oxide are the reactants, and the products are the barium and aluminum oxide. So, it's separated by an arrow. How about the third one? Who got the correct answer for the third one? What type of chemical reaction is the one given in the evaluation? Correct. It is a single displacement reaction. Okay, how many got 3? Wow, very good. All of you got the 3 numbers for the evaluation. You got perfect for the evaluation. Congratulations for your participation for this video lesson, and I hope that next time you should still be with me for the coming video lessons. Good luck and God bless.